Welcome, everybody. It's 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Hank Hoffmeyer here, Senior Manager Client Solutions for J2 Global with brands like iContact, Campaigner, Communicator, and SMTP. What I'm here to do today is just talk about automation. Number one, you should be using marketing automation. And number two, this is a time to be looking at any automations you have set up and maybe rethink them a little bit because there's just a lot going on, and the social aspect of being a human is a lot different right now. We're looking to engage with people more, try to be social through virtual items like this, like Zoom, and on social media. We're not doing everything exactly the same that we used to. And that includes checking email, checking social media. We may be actually on social media more than we are checking email. And there's just a lot going on. And as marketers, it's a really tough time right now. And what we'll want to do is just make sure that we're looking at ways that we can save time, because maybe there's other things that we need to work on. And also what you need to do is look at what you're currently doing and make some changes so that you ensure that your business thrives and you're still in business when we come out of these challenging times together. And that's what I'm here for today. And if you are on YouTube or on Facebook, go ahead and drop a comment or a question, and I'll be glad to answer those as we go along. And I also want to record this for the future for anybody that might need it and couldn't make it today. But yeah, the first thing you want to do is take a look at what you're doing. I'm in the iContact platform here, and I'm just going to look at some sample automations that we have for a demo account. We have like a welcome demo here I'm going to bring up. And this basically is just some emails that we have set to go out. Right away, it's a welcome message. And then we might want to follow up with people. Actually, this is probably a bad example. Let me go ahead and look for a different one. All right, so we have a welcome series here. And this is one that I kind of put together just for demo purposes. So right now we just have a automation sequence that when somebody subscribes right away, we'll want to send them a welcome email and just welcome them into the fold. Now, right now that might have verbiage in there that's just kind of bland, right? And it's just saying, welcome, here's a 10% off coupon, shop now, we're glad to see you're with us. Maybe think about changing that and just say, hey, we're glad you signed up. We know everybody's going through a lot, and it means a lot to us that you actually decided to sign up for our newsletter. We wanted to give you something special, and that should be, maybe it's a discount or a one-on-one call if you're in a services industry. Then what you can do is a few days later, or maybe the next day, follow up with an email that talks about how you're different from your competitors, and also how you give back to the community, or what you're doing during these challenging times. Are you making donations? What are you doing to make people feel at ease and trust you more? Then maybe get them to follow you on social media as well, because right now people are flocking to social media, and that's something you need to double down on. And quick tip, that is a great way to grow your newsletter is through social media. Since people are going to be on social media more, maybe you can run some ads and get people to your social media channels, get them to sign up for your newsletter. Then you have this welcome newsletter going. Then, appeal to their emotions, right? Just talk to them and encourage them to reach out to you and talk. I know a lot of people don't want to have email replies, but right now it's a great thing to do because people want to be heard. And if you encourage somebody to reply to your email, it'll also help with your email deliverability. In other words, Gmail, Yahoo, MSN, all these different networks. If you get a reply from an email, it actually is a strong signal of engagement. And what'll happen is it'll boost your email deliverability. It'll show Gmail, Yahoo that you have engaged subscribers and that your emails belong into the inbox rather than being in the spam folder. This was a welcome series, and what you'll want to do is use it to your advantage. If you currently have one set up, go back and look at it. Maybe pause or delete the one you currently have and create a new one from scratch that meets the needs that we're talking about. Or you could just edit what you have in place. With iContact, you can always pause your automation and then update your messages. But then remember, and I have a document going, I'm going to give you some tips. You're definitely going to want to go back and take a look at what you're doing later on, because maybe, again, it's not the right type of content for the time we're in currently, right? And let's take a look at something that a lot of people are doing. They're doing events, right, and trade shows. And now everybody's saying, hey, if it's a trade show or an event, we're moving that online, which is great. And hopefully you can do that if that's something you do. But also you might have something coming up, and it could be just a day of savings, right? Where a certain day you're going to do something special and you want to send messages out correlating to that. So this is something you can use, which is what we call a date trigger automation. And what you'll do is put in the date that the event's actually happening. I know this one's in the past, but it kind of gets the point across. So you have this date. And then what you're going to do is you can have conditions if you want. So you have your audience, it could be a list or everyone, and then maybe a certain segment of people you only want to send an email to. But 10 days before the event, we're going to send out an email and talk about that event. What is particular about that event? And what is it that you're trying to convey? Then 5 days before, you can send another message to remind them about the event or what's going on, or special, whatever it is. And we have some logic in here that says everyone do not open message one, send them this, and everyone else send message two. Basically, we're resending the first message to non-openers here. Moving on, 3 days before, we are going to send another message just to remind people about the certain event, whether it's a virtual event, a sale event, a services event, or a Zoom call, right? Maybe you're a consultant and you want to have a Zoom call. This is a great series for that. And then one day after, the day of, you can send a message. But what I like to do is the day after, you can actually update your contacts and do you know who actually attended and thank them for attending. And then alternatively, people that did not attend that event, you can follow up with them and say, here's what you missed. Here's a link to the recording, or here's some helpful information and documentation. So that's a great automation sequence to use if you're going to have some kind of event that's specific to a date. Then we have segment qualification and re-engagement campaigns. Right now, you might want to lay off a little bit on the re-engagement campaigns, but don't forget about them. But maybe if you're doing 6-month non-openers, what you want to do is maybe wait a little bit longer because people are not checking emails much, or because they're probably getting a lot of emails about what's going on right now. But a segment qualification email would be as soon as somebody meets certain criteria, like maybe they bought something specific from you and you want to follow up with them because it's related to what's going on, or you want to just thank them. So as long as you get that data into iContact, you can trigger and say, ASAP, I want to do something with that thing. So this is based on people who have not opened in the last 6 months, which is a re-engagement campaign, but you can also use this for purchases. So if somebody made a purchase, which would be your segment qualification, you can send everyone an email, and then 5 days later, send another email. So especially if somebody buys a product and they don't know how to use it, or maybe they need help or support, this is a great way for you to say, once somebody makes a purchase of this product or service, I want to inform them along the way how to return it, or how to get support, how to contact me if they have questions, all those kind of things. And again, follow me on social media. Those are great ways to automate what you're doing with your email. If you're not using automation, you might want to think about that. And if we flip over to my account for my personal journal, which is an email I send out once a month on the first of the month, and I go over tools and tips and ideas of how to be more productive and helpful. And what books am I reading that might be helpful, podcasts, events that I have coming up. And in my next journal, I'm going to talk about these particular shows that I have where I'm helping people, and I'm going to have coffee with them, virtual coffee. But right now I just have a welcome message, and then I follow up with people 2 days later who didn't open it. It's the same message with a different subject line. But I might want to go back and take a look at my verbiage in there, just make sure that it's okay for this day and time of the challenging things we have going on. And I was just on a call with about 4 or 5 other really great thought leaders around how do we get through this. And a lot of people brought up a lot of great things, during the 2008, 2010 depression, or, where the economy slowed down. There was a lot of great companies that were built then. It was, like Uber and a whole bunch of great companies that started around that time. And just know, even though we don't know when this event's going to go away or when we're going to go back to normal, but just know that at some point it will, and just plan for that. Make sure you're planning for the future, and you don't need to get worried that everything is going to change holistically, because things will go back to normal. But I think a lot of people will adopt technology more. A lot of people will use Zoom, they'll use YouTube more, they'll have WebEx calls, all those kind of things. If you ever want to talk about those, let me know. Let me go over to my Google Doc now, and I want to reiterate, take a look at what you're doing now. Just make sure you're taking a look at that. So let's take a look at what we're doing. I'm going to share my screen and show you my Google Doc. So here's my Google Doc, and I'm going to go ahead and share this next to my Google Doc. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and I think there's a way for me to make this bigger. There you go. And what you want to do is take a look at what you're currently doing now, right? And add personal touches and stories to your email, and maybe link to a video if you can about what you have going on personally, and what are you doing, and how are you coping with what's going on? Because if people can relate to what you're going through, they're going to build that relationship with you and that trust, and they'll want to do business with you. Think about the future. We talked about that. Just know things are going to change again in the future. We don't know how long this challenging time is going to last, but just know there are people out there, and there are great human beings that are willing to help people, help small businesses stay afloat. Think outside the box. I heard a great story about a Midwest pizza place that is starting to put together pizza kits. They're giving dough, sauce, cheese, and 2 toppings for one cost, and then you can bring that home and make the pizza. Not only does it give you food to eat, but it gives you something to do, an activity, right? Don't forget to plan on looking at your sequences again in the future. This way, you know the verbiage is going to be relevant to the times. You should always be looking at that every now and then. It's not a set it and forget it. Automation is not set it, forget it. You want to make sure you're going back every now and then, and you're taking a look at what's going on. And make sure, again, ask people to reply to the email, and that's the ultimate form of engagement, and it will actually help with your email deliverability. And make sure that people don't forget about you, right? So I'm going to put that down here. Make sure that they don't forget about you, and use automation more. But in the meantime, there is a good opportunity to just go ahead and go in and create an email and send it, right? When you have these ideas going on that maybe they don't fit into an automation sequence, but you want to get those out. A lot of things with products, if you have an e-commerce store, is showing how people can really see the product more. Maybe it's a video or an animated GIF, like jewelry. It could be an animated GIF to show, the sides, top, and bottom of something, or next to an object or a ruler to show how big they are, because people can't come into the store and try it right now. That's a great way of thinking outside the box, is getting creative with your marketing. Use visuals more, use animated GIFs, use video, use images, use more images, and not just that hero shot of your product. When it comes to services, right now, maybe you need to do something other than what you normally do. Maybe you need to be more of a listener than a salesperson. Maybe somebody just wants to tell you a story about what challenges they have, and they're not really looking to do business with you. But if you make that connection, maybe they know someone that will, and you can build referrals. So build referrals by offering value. And that can be through automation, that can be through email, and that can be anywhere, on a phone call, on your networks, anywhere. Just provide value, build that opportunity to get referrals, help others so that it comes back to you later on. And my message today is just, make sure you're using automation more. And I realized I wasn't sharing my screen earlier when I was showing, say, like the conference and trade show option. So let me go ahead and bring that up. So this is the date that we have. So when somebody goes in and puts in a date, so if we're having a conference, let's say on November 29th, say 2020, 10 days before that event, we'll send an email, 5 days before, 3 days before, and then 1 day after, anyone who actually attended to follow up. And I think I mentioned earlier, anyone who didn't attend, you can send them follow-up information. So this is the date-based automation. And let me go into one of the other ones, is the active nurture series that I was actually showing earlier. And I believe I was just talking to the screen, and you just saw me, and that's it. So right here, we have people that were subscribed to a list. As soon as they subscribe, I want to send them a welcome message, and then send them a second one. So this is just a simple welcome message, and then a second differentiator, and then emotional appeal. You might want to think those over, because maybe it doesn't make sense to use that verbiage right now. You could pause it, edit these, or you can pause it and go back and create a whole new one. For now, that would take place of this one here. And let's see what this welcome series looks like here. So it might be a little bit different. Yeah, this one's got a little bit more in it. What we're doing is sending the welcome message. And again, just be personal. You inject the first name and just say, hey, we know you must be going through a lot. We'd love to hear about it. Here's what we're doing to stay positive, and here's where to follow us on social media, get the latest and greatest updates. And then you have what you're doing in the community or for nonprofits or whatever, 3 days later, and then 5 days later, et cetera. So build in those messages that are human, because people need those virtual hugs. They need that time to interact with people. They need to be extroverts every now and then. Even though if you're an introvert, you might need some extroversion every now and then. I don't even know if that's a word. And then I showed mine, which is here. So mine's mostly text, and it's just welcoming people. But I probably need to go in and take a look at this and make some changes, right, because of what's going on. Because mine's pretty simple, benign. I'm asking people to look at my book and my podcast. But maybe that's not what people are thinking about right now. What about you? Do you have any challenges, any thoughts? Are you using automation? If so, drop a comment. Let me know. I'd like to know what you're doing during this time to make sure you're staying positive. Are you getting up and taking a walk? Are you able to get outside? Are you eating? Are you eating healthy? Have you been able to exercise? Because as a business owner, entrepreneur, professional, you need to stay sane. You need to make sure you're healthy. And most importantly, life will go on. We'll get through this, but only together. Make sure to look for previous and post events. So I'll have some in the future. You can go to hankhoffmeyer.com/live. I have a schedule where you can find out what I'm doing next. And I'm going to have some more one-on-one or small group meetings as well on Zoom, which I hope you might be interested in. I've been having some great discussions with folks, and I would love to talk to you because I care. I want to make sure you're going to get through this. And if I can help you with technology, I've learned a lot about Zoom and with Calendly lately, and I thought I was a power user, but apparently I'm not. It's going to be great, but I hope to hear from you soon in the comments, or maybe see you on a future show. And with that, what I want to tell you is use automation. If you're not using it now, it can greatly help you save time to do other things that you need to be doing, even if that's getting up and taking a walk, getting some exercise. If you're currently using automation, make sure to go in and take a look at what you're currently doing so that you can make it more human, you can make it more relevant to the times that are going on, and then don't forget to go back and look at it later. Until next time, guys, this is Hank Hoffmeyer, and I'll catch you in the next one.